Good evening. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of April 11th, 2023. We have a quorum. Everybody's here. Lonnie's on Zoom. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next, we're going to go, I told the Budget Committee we're going to get them out of here quickly. So we're going to go right to the warrant articles, which first I need, Charisse, can you give us a number on undesignated fund balance if
You're
you have
lucky,
one?
I got it at about 10 minutes of 5.
There you go.
It's horrible.
Okay.
It's $2,226,069.
$2,226,069.
69.
069. Alrighty. And what's our minimum in there?
It's 15% of the tax commitment. It's
Yep.
$2,223,246. So we're right there within a few
Ew.
thousand,
So we have like nothing to play with.
No.
basically.
All right. Okay, so now let's go to the consideration of the warrants. And we'll start with warrant number 11.
You can't put anything in there.
Yeah, you can put it, here's the thing, you can put a number in there in case you have a balance at the end that's larger than what we have right now. And you can use up to, up to that 226 number. So if you put in the same number we did last year, which was 200,000. It gives you leeway because it said the warrant says not to exceed 200,000. So if you have nothing to play with, the number is 0 because you're not exceeding 200,000. But if there's anything above, you can use it. But you won't know until probably August, after the final numbers come in through June,
I can give you a rough estimate in August. Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for
that's really when you would apply it.
Yeah, FY23.
Yeah.
To see if we end the year in a good status.
No. So can I have a motion on?
Move Article 11 at 200,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? No. All in favor? That's unanimous. Next article is Article 23.
Next is actually Article 12, sir.
12.
It says 23. Where's 12?
Oh, this is the new TIF amount. Okay, and you
Yes.
got the email from Sue showing the new TIF numbers? That was in the email at about 4 o'clock today.
Yes.
Wait a minute, where's that? Just recently.
I've got it right here if anybody needs to see it.
319,770.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And the difference is Charisse realized that I was missing the $7,000 and $7,040 for Kurt's salary that could fall under the TIF.
Okay.
Move Article 12 at 319,770.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Oh, shoot.
Now we go to Article 23. This is the LD1 article. Motion?
Is that number in there correct now, the 3,630,036.38?
That's the number that Kurt had in his memo, yes.
Okay. Kurt's in the audience here, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Okay, move Article 23 at 3,630,036.38.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Article 24. This is the main PERS article. I think the change has been made to authorize town manager. Yep. Okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion to move Article 24.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Article 25. As you know, Owens McCulloch, our engineer, went out to the site this week to look at it. There's a few snags in there, so Nathan gave me a call and we discussed this, and we deemed it best to pull out the public safety amount for this year.
Public Works.
Public Works, I'm sorry, thank you.
Okay.
But include $150,000 as part of the bond package to do engineering and study for a Public Works garage down at the sand shed. So the total article would now amount to $1.15 million. We also reduced the time of it to 5 years. It'll be a bond for 5 years instead of 15. And the interest rate from Sharice or Kathy is 5.59%. So interest payments over 5 years would amount to $271,572.31 for a total amount of $1,421,572.31.
Move Article 25.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
I think we should, I know they have work to do. I know we talked to Owens, but I still think that we should move forward with it. I mean, look what we're paying out for this small loan now with rec. And I know it's 5 years, and that's a really stinky, like, honestly, interest rate. But the public garage will come together. I know it will. And I think, I don't know, I still say we move forward with it. And if we have to pick up more later, then we pick it up later.
Yeah, I think the problem is we just don't know what it will end up costing in the end. I mean, this has been going on for 2 years. I mean, these accusations that all of a sudden we're doing this is not true. This has been going on for 2 to 3 years, actually, been talking about it. But we just don't think that the $3.5 million is probably gonna cover the cost of this thing in the long run. So I just assume put money into planning it, studying it, making sure it all works, and then come forward with a bond
Next year?
Yeah, it will be done, the planning will be done in a year,
Okay.
so.
Mr. Chair, Lonnie had his hand up.
Go ahead, Lonnie.
I was kind of going to piggyback on what you said after you finished. You pretty much took the info, and I agree with you, but I also agree with Teresa. This definitely hasn't been the first time we've talked about it. We've talked about it in most meetings, especially if Nate was involved in that meeting. But I think at the end of the day, it is. I don't really want to use the word better, but it works that we, put the money aside to have the exact engineering specs and plans made. It'll probably alleviate any pieces of the puzzle that we'll run into along the way if we didn't dot our i's and cross every t. So I'd be game just to put the 150 and try and put it through next year. But the thing that irks me the most is that we constantly tell the town's employees to sharpen your pencil, do better, be safe, do all these things that any employer would tell an employee, management or regular line, that and we're telling them to do things that are unsafe, or we're not giving them the tools, I should say, to do the job correctly and safely for the longevity. It's, don't want to bring up any specifics because I don't want it to come back and bite me. But it definitely is the town needs this just as much as it needs a pickleball field. It really does.
Yeah.
It's actually more than, I should say, because it is about safety. So,
Right.
I mean, the only thing I would say to that, Lonnie, is that
yeah.
what we're really doing is we're throwing probably, from a total time standpoint, probably a 6-month delay into it, because in going forward and bonding it next year instead,
Right.
we'll still have a lot of that pre-work done. We can get a lot of the pre-stuff done, so that when that bond goes through, the work can start sooner.
Yeah, we could hit the ground running. That's the thing. We can go out to bid by the end of the year and hopefully start, everything by spring, late spring, and hope that the bond passes and be going. One thing I would caution you is to say that we're putting our employees at risk and not safely doing things. I was assured by Nathan that we can still continue where we are, get things done. It's not the most ideal conditions, but it's not unsafe.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, that's better to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I would never stand here and say, oh, we're putting our employees at risk because we're not in a safe working condition. I just think that puts the town at risk. So
we are in a safe environment, it's just not optimal.
not ideal, exactly, not optimal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and we are going to pay another point or two by this 6 months extension. We're looking at 5.59 on the.
Well, that's because it's only a 5-year bond, all right,
Because
at a
we don't
small
need it as
amount.
much, though,
If
right?
you had a higher amount than a 15-year bond,
Right.
you'd be at 3.5 or 4,
Right.
somewhere in there.
Right.
The other thing,
Yeah.
when we go out on the bigger bond, then we can, we'll also look at self-bonding instead of going through the bond bank.
And the other thing you can do is, we're gonna have 2 bonds paid off in 2 years. You could also roll this bond in and refinance it to a longer bond for a better interest rate.
Oh. Sounds great.
Okay? So,
Yep.
any other discussion on this? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Unanimous? Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
is it safe to assume that these motions were to approve and recommend?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good assumption on your part. Must be the cocoa.
It has to be, and there isn't anything adult in it.
All right.
Marshmallow.
All right, so did we cover all the warrant articles now?
Yes, you have.
All right, so now I want to turn it over to the Budget Finance Committee, and you guys can have your meeting. So we will sit back as a selectmen meeting while,
We'll suspend the selectmen meeting while they have their discussion.
yeah, do I have a second on the suspension?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Budget Finance, all yours.
Can I have clarification on those numbers?
Which ones?
Letter A is not 3,500,000, now it's,
No, it's
1,500,000.
1,150,000.
okay, and the other values don't change?
Article 23 doesn't, Article 11 does the 200,000. You did that one.
No, he's just talking.
Oh, on that one? Oh.
No, the other values don't change. You're just adding 150,000 in for a study on the Public Works building.
Okay. Thank you.
Study in engineering.
Then I'll go ahead and read the article. I will entertain a motion, and we'll have some discussion and vote on it thereafter. Article 25, referendum question W. Shall the town of Raymond, the town, approve a capital project including engineering and design costs, transaction costs, and other expenses recently related thereto the project, consisting of A, the design and engineering of a public works garage to be located at 170 Plains Road at an estimated cost of $150,000. B, recreation improvements to include lighted tennis courts to be located at Sherry Gannon Park on Mill Street at an estimated cost of $440,000.
He did?
Improvements to Tasseltop Park consisting of a snack shack, bathroom facilities, and a maintenance building at an estimated cost of $560,000.
Did you read Part A?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to pull that out.
We just talked about not doing the garage. So you're just going to do the tassel top part. So that whole thing has to be.
Yeah.
But the design is in there, isn't it?
That's for the design, Mr. Chair.
But it's not 3.
150,000 for the design.
It's 150,000.
Right.
You know what? Let me give you this laptop and you can read this.
Well, he's got it there.
Oh, you got it, yeah.
Yeah, what he read was correct.
I'm sorry. I just heard, sorry.
All right. Teresa's hearing things.
2, appropriate the sum of $1,150,000 plus any additional premium to provide the cost of the project. 3, authorize the town treasurer and the chair of the select board to issue general obligation securities of the town, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof, in an aggregate principal not to exceed $1,150,000, plus any additional premium to fund the project. And 4, delegate to the town treasurer and the chair of the select board the authority and discretion to fix the dates, maturities, interest rates, denominations, calls for redemption with or without premium, form, and other details of said securities, including authority to execute and deliver the securities on behalf of the town. Financial statement, total bond indebtedness.
You don't need to read the financial statement.
All right. Validity. The validity of the bonds and the voters' ratification of the bonds may not be affected by any error in the above estimates. If the actual amount of the total debt service varies from the estimates, the ratification by the voters nevertheless conclusive, and the validity of the bond issue is not reflected by reason of the variance. I will entertain a motion.
I move Article 25.
Second.
Thank you, Karen. Bob?
And Mr. Chair, is that a move to recommend?
Can you please clarify, Karen?
It is a move to recommend Article 25.
Thank you. And Bob seconded that?
Yep.
Any discussion? I can't see the screen on TV.
Oh.
Because Sue said something, didn't she?
No. No.
Yeah.
We need the other people back.
Yeah, I need my budget.
Bob
budget
and
people.
Karen, they're not on the screen.
Just you.
Just you, Sue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that-
I'm here.
Yeah, I can't control it.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? It carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Wait a minute.
No, we need 11, 12. You need to make recommendations on 11, 12,
23.
And
23.
24.
24.
They have already, the Budget Finance Committee had the number for the LD1, and they've
Okay.
already
Yeah.
recommended that.
Okay, so we need 11, 12, and 24.
Okay, I don't have 11 here.
You want them?
You want to know? Come on. Oh, here's 24 too.
Okay. Article 11, referendum question I, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to appropriate from undesignated fund balance or surplus to reduce the tax commitment as the Select Board deemed advisable in an amount not to exceed $200,000.
I make a motion to recommend.
Thank you, Dee.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries unanimously. Article 12, referendum question J, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $319,770 from the tax increment of the Pipeline Route 302 Tax Increment Financing District for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Project proposed in the Tax Increment Financing District Development Program.
They should be able to just share the screen, right?
I will entertain a motion.
I move to recommend Article 12.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion?
Just question, it went up from 312 from our last week, and it's at 319,770 now?
Yes.
Yes, I was missing $7,040 of current salary that could
Sorry.
be put under the TIF.
Yes, that's right, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then Article 24, please, sir.
Article 24, referendum question V, to see if the town of Raymond will vote to join the Maine Public Employees Retirement System, Maine PERS, as a participating local district effective December 1st, 2023. And A, to offer Special Plan 3C to its regular full-time firefighters and emergency medical services employees who are paid at least 2,800 hours per year between hours worked, paid vacation, paid holiday, and paid sick time.
2,080. Not 2,800.
2,080, yes. B, to exclude all other employees, including all other elected, appointed officials from participating in Maine PERS. And C, to allow its eligible employees who are currently employed by the town on September 1st, 2023, who elect to join Maine PERS, the option to purchase prior service upon the employee's full payment of all associated costs. The town will not participate in the purchase of prior service, and so employees who wish to purchase prior service are responsible for paying the full liability associated with the service. And D, to authorize the town manager to sign the agreement between the town and the Maine Public Employees Retirement System. And E, to adopt the provisions of 5 MRS subsection 18252/C as enacted by PL 2021, Chapter 286, as allowed by Maine PERS Rule, Chapter 803 for non-participating employees with optional memberships who decline to participate in Maine's PERS when first eligible, and comply with the following requirements. A, beginning in 2024, to annually offer eligible employees who have been employed for less than 5 years the opportunity to join Maine PERS on a prospective basis during an open enrollment period from September 1st through November 1st, and to provide Maine PERS with documentation of each election made by eligible employees under this provision. And B, to withhold employee contributions for employees who join under this provision on an after-tax basis and to remit them to main PERS. I will entertain a motion.
I move Article 24 for recommendation.
Thank you, Kevin.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
All right, Sue, we're going to hold our public hearing now?
They've got to close.
Yes, the Budget Finance can adjourn their meeting if they'd like to.
I have a question. What about Article 23?
Thank you.
You did make a recommendation on that article at the last meeting, and the number hasn't changed since then.
Okay, thank you.
So you guys can adjourn your meeting?
Yep. I'll adjourn the budget finance portion of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to now come back into the selectmen meeting portion of this, and we're going to go right into a public hearing. Excitement is just beginning.
If I didn't have to go to work, I would say. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
We ought to do the previous minutes first.
We did that already.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did I vote for it?
You did.
I don't, oh no.
I moved it.
Okay.
Teresa seconded it.
Alex, you were already up there.
We are now in a public hearing. Anyone from the public would like to comment on the town meeting warrant articles? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. All right, Sue. We're going to go right to the final warrant approval.
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't need to do each one separately. We're just going to take them up, right?
That's correct. This is recommending the warrant as a whole document.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? All right. Wow, we're making progress. Okay. Kirk, where are you? You ready? You got a couple of things on there.
I gotta figure out how to get this thing to go up there.
Oh.
Will they help me with that? Go back?
Yeah.
Or Sue?
Bill, can you go out and help Kurt, please?
I know how everyone loves this slideshow.
Do you want to do the business license while
Yeah.
you work on that?
Why don't we do the business licenses? All right.
Do we have, yeah, one's here.
Are you plugged?
Okay. Goodhue, Sebago.
Okay, so I didn't want to mess it up.
So we're going to do the business licenses.
Okay.
4A. Have a motion to approve. Wayne, are there any issues on that? 4A. Goodhue, formerly Panther Run.
Yes, the inspection hasn't been.
This for a second and just go to your laptop,
Oh, go ahead.
your desktop.
The inspection hasn't been completed. It's scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I should be showing up with that monitor.
All right.
If you wanted to approve, subject to adequate fire safety inspection report, that should be fine.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, you go ahead.
Motion to approve the business license for Goodhue, subject to successful fire safety inspection.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous? All right, Wayne, how about this ice cream shop? Unnamed.
The ice cream shop at, was it 1259
Yep.
Roosevelt Trail? That inspection is scheduled for Friday. My recommendation would be the same, for you to approve it, subject to successful fire safety inspection.
Which one is, where's 1259?
It was the old pot shop,
The old what?
the old pot shop, pot house, B&B cultivation.
Oh, they're out of business?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So,
Tells you how often I go there.
well,
All right, can I have a motion?
Move to approve the business license for the ice cream shop, named TBD, subject to successful fire safety inspection.
second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Mr. Chair, you have both of those business licenses.
Yeah, we're gonna sign them right now.
Sweet, thank you.
All right, Kurt, you ready?
Sure, I think so.
Okay. So we're gonna start with reval RFP.
Sure.
Is that okay?
So I guess half of my slideshow is pretty general assessing stuff, so I don't know. It's mostly for the public, so we can, if you guys are willing to muddle through some generic stuff, then I'll go through it as quick as I can, and then we'll get to the rest of it later. Okay, so the assessors in a town like Raymond, as with many small towns, the Board of Selectmen also serve as the Board of Assessors. And assessors are somewhat unique in that they're local officials, but actually act as agents of state government in their role and are subject to enforcing all of the state statutes. So it's a dual position. It's a local municipal position, but it actually is overseen by the state tax assessor. The Maine's Constitution governs taxation, and with property taxes, Maine's Constitution requires that all taxes on real and personal estates shall be apportioned and assessed equally according to the just value thereof. Just value has been determined by the law court to be the equivalent of market value. And so the key word there is apportioned. When you're in the assessing world, values and everything we do with taxes is all about apportionment. Who gets what share of the overall tax? And what Maine's Constitution requires is that it be assessed equally according to value. So if you're assessing at market value, you want everybody to be at market value. If you're assessing under market, you want everybody to be in the close percentage in terms of what percentage of market. That preserves the equitable distribution of the property tax. The next section of the Constitution, the legislature shall never suspend or surrender the power of taxation. So everything comes from the state legislature, and towns and municipalities basically have to follow whatever rules the legislature puts forth, unable to kind of come up with their own assessing rules, unless it's been granted by the legislature. A little bit about state divisions of tax authority. On the left side, you have essentially the legislative branch. So as most of you know, the legislature delegates the authority to raise and appropriate tax down to the municipal, the county, and the local school units. The residents vote on the school tax and the municipal tax through the budget articles that you proposed tonight. And the county is put forth by the elected representatives, the county commissioners. On the other side, you have kind of the executive branch, which is how do those taxes get apportioned out? And the legislature creates the laws. The state tax assessor is charged with implementing those laws, and they delegate their authority down to you folks as the Board of Assessors to implement that on the local level. A little flow chart as to kind of how taxes come out. A lot of people are kind of unaware. It all starts with the legislature, and then, like I said, it flows down to the local level, the county level, and the school. Those are all funneled into the assessors, who establish a tax rate based upon the amount of value that they have in the town. That's kind of determined by the assessors, and then the tax itself, which is determined by the voters. And the assessors issue that tax, and then it goes out to collection. And the tax collector is warranted to collect those taxes, and then she issues that money out to the treasurer's office, who then funds it out to the county, the school, and municipality for expenditures. So it's kind of the way the flow of how taxes are derived and collected. Am I going too fast? Is good? Okay. The number one responsibility of the tax assessor or the Board of Assessors is to slice the tax pie. That goes back to the Constitution and the apportionment according to value. Essentially, our number one job is to make sure that everyone is paying the appropriate amount of property tax. Not too much, not too little. Essentially, we use value to determine how big your pie slice is. So the more valuable your property, the bigger the slice of the overall pie that you're going to get for property tax. That kind of goes back to a few hundred years ago, when land ownership was the number one ability to pay taxes. It's not quite as accurate as it is today. Today, you can have situations where people have limited income but maybe have high value property, but we're still in that system from a few hundred years ago, where land ownership and value is an indicator of ability to pay tax. This, for some reason, this slide is acting up. It's not, actually. It comes in. I don't know why, but it's about the tax rate. And essentially, the tax rate is the overall property tax, which is approved by the voters and the county, divided by the value that's derived by the assessors, and you get a rate. So that the assessors are constrained essentially to collect the amount of tax that's warranted to them. So if everyone, the voters say, we need $13 million for school, county, and town government, the assessors aren't going to say, well, that's great, but you're only going to get 11, or they're not going to say, that's great, but we think we should have 14. The assessors are constrained to collect what the voters have approved. I don't know why that's not, there it goes. Won't let me move forward either. Okay, assessment standards. In the practice of assessing, we use something called an assessment ratio, and that's essentially for every market sale or qualified sale that happens in town, we take that selling price and we measure it against our assessment. And when we have 100 sales in town and over a given year, we're able to see how the assessment model is performing. If the assessment is $140,000 and the sale price comes in at $280,000, then the assessment ratio is 50%. The statute requires that there's a 70% minimum assessment ratio, and the maximum is 110%. Those are statutory requirements. They really don't want the towns to fall much lower than 70%. The second part of the assessing standards is called the coefficient of dispersion. It's the quality rating, and it is how far does the average sale fall from what the overall average assessment is. So if the overall average assessment is 90% of market value and your coefficient of dispersion is 10, that means on average the average sale is either 10 points one way or the other of the average. So the average sale is either going to be 80 to 100%. So you can see even with a 10% quality score, there's a pretty good bandwidth there as the sales come in. Mass appraisal, where you're valuing thousands of properties all at once. The law doesn't expect the models to hit every sale exactly. There's a test of reasonableness that we apply. Statutory maximum is 20, but if you're under 10, that's excellent equity. 10 to 15 is good, and 15 to 20 is considered to be fair equity. This is Raymond's assessment ratios going back to the last revaluation in 2005. So in 2005, when the revaluation was done, you could see Raymond was really close to 100% of market value. Over the next 2 to 3 years after 2005, the market continued to trend upward, and the assessment stayed the same. So you can see that our assessment ratio begins to drop. Going into 2008, we were probably around 85% of market value. And then, as we all can remember, in 2008, we had the great financial crash, which was a fairly large real estate bubble. Suddenly you see values for houses go down. The assessment ratio over the next 4 years climbs up to about 110%. So Raymond lost the average person lost about 25% equity in their home from 2008 to 2012 with the real estate crash. And we pretty much peaked out in 2012, and then things began to slowly right themselves, and you can see the assessment ratio starts to drop again. And it was dropping, at a fairly regular rate until around 2020, and that's when we begin to see the effect of the corona pandemic and its effect on real estate market prices. Migration coming in from other states, low there's a multitude of things, low interest rates at the time, low stock in terms of what's available. Suddenly, you can see that the assessment ratio begins to drop like a stone after the corona pandemic onset in 2020. And that's left, most towns all in the same position. Most everyone who revaled in the anywhere from 2004 to, 2015 is pretty much in the same spot. This is a sales sample of the last 2 years, and Raymond, you can see that things are sold pretty much everywhere. The lighter the color, the lower our assessment ratio. There's, waterfront tends to, appreciate faster than interior sales. That's historically been the case. During the corona period, though, things were pretty well even. We were seeing almost the same pace of appreciation on the interior. And I suspect that's something to do with some of the migration from corona, where, kind of average working people that worked in other states that migrated in. They weren't necessarily buying vacation homes and waterfront homes, but they were paying prices that, I think, to them are reasonable prices, but maybe a little higher than what the local economy might normally support. So going into a revaluation, this is typically what we're going to see after almost 20 years since the last revaluation. We're about 55% of market value, and what we really want is every one of these black dots represents a sale. We really want things to be in this 10% zone, one way or the other, of our average, but things begin to spread out because the model is 20 years old at this point, and homes haven't been looked at, things have changed. People have either improved homes or homes have gone into disrepair. Markets have changed in certain neighborhoods, and we end up with kind of an inequitable tax distribution. Coming out of a reval, this is what we can expect to see: an assessment ratio up closer to 100% of market with a tighter band of sales within our equitable range. And that's really what the revaluation will do, is it will narrow everyone in and restore equity to the tax burden. So right now, where are we? As we know, we've had a lot of accelerated market activity through 2022. It does look like things are leveling off. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, if you turn on the news or your web browser, you're going to see every possible scenario right now. So, you know, I don't know whether prices will hold, whether they're going to go down, or what they're going to do. But the last revaluation here was almost 20 years ago. So the last full inventory of property was in 2004. And the assessment ratio coming into this year is going to be around 50%. We were 55% in 2022, April 1, 2022, and we've had some appreciation since then through the summer of 22 and fall of 22. So as things come in, we see sales right now. If we see a sale that's, you know, if we're at anywhere between 40% and 60% on our assessment to sale, doesn't even read. It does. We're expecting that. So that's what we're seeing right now. Homes that are selling for $450, you know, we're going to have 200,000 on them, stuff like that. With this current budget, the budget that's going to town meeting, the town will have pretty much the majority of the funds necessary to conduct the revaluation. We'll have $280,000 in the reserve account with the FY24 budget, and I'm expecting that the cost of the project is going to be somewhere in that range. That's going to get us almost either it is all the way there, or is there going to be only a little bit more. We'll have to see what the bids come out to be, but that we're right in the ballpark from what I've been told from a couple of the vendors. In terms of revaluation, the project pipelines for the revaluation companies they're filling rapidly. You know, everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, and there are only so many companies that are able to implement a project like this. So in order really to have any hope of completing a project for 2025 or 2026, we really need to start the bid process now to get into the pipeline, wherever that pipeline may be, when we are ready to go to contract. Until we get a revaluation implemented, residential property owners are going to absorb some level of financial penalty imposed by the state, likely mostly in the form of reduced homestead exemptions, reduced veterans exemptions, reductions to personal property, which shift some of the tax burden onto real estate. These all kind of add up to tax increases on the residential home side. I think this year our ratio drop will cost residential home, you know, a homesteader about $65 from the homestead alone. So before we even get into what the tax rate's going to be, we're going to have a tax increase for homesteaders. And as I said, forecasting the markets over the next few years is difficult. Hopefully, if we do get a deflation in the market, we will have that built into the sales sample. So by the time we implement, you know, it'll have already happened. And if it doesn't happen, then, you know, we'll be where we are today. Timeline. You know, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get permission from the board to issue a RFP out for the revaluation. I would work on that over the next month. And likely by the time we receive bids, go through a selection process and award a bid, we're probably going to be into the fall of 23. And that's the point in which we'll kind of know where we are in the pipeline. Are we a 25 or a 2026 reval? The company's got to be in here working in the spring of 24, which is only a year from now, if they're going to, you know, put out a 25 reval.
How long of a project is it, Kurt?
It's a solid year. You know, we typically what we see is they'll move a crew in here to begin home inspections through the summer of 2000 '24. They may work in the fall, depends on their timeline, and then you'll have a period in the winter preceding the valuation effective date where the appraisal work is done. And then through that next summer, you have hearings, informal hearings. We try to shake out as many, problems as we can before they get into a formal appeal process. So it's a lengthy project. It's a good year for the project, and then it spills over at least another 6 months after that, and with hearings and taxpayer inquiries, things like that.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that whole property tax freeze for seniors.
Yeah.
If that stays in place, this whole reval,
Yeah.
it could be a huge savings for some people.
Yes. Yep. And we'll have to see. I know they're weighing options up there right now.
Right.
If the freeze were to stay intact, it essentially makes the reval mute for many people.
Right.
We'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
So at this point, all you're looking for is approval to create
Start the process.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Essentially, we get into fall, we always put in these RFPs that the town can scrap it. It's hard to imagine though. I mean, if we're at 50% of market, even with the 08 financial crisis, if things were to go to crap and this 25% loss of value, we're still at 75% of market at that point in 20 years post the last reval. So,
well, I mean, when you look at it from another standpoint, it gives you the opportunity to catch things that haven't been caught yet.
That's right. What we typically do now, is as sales come in, we get on Redfin and, we're seeing any improvements that may have been done. Sometimes they're permits and sometimes they're not, but, we capture those things as the sale happens within our current model, but that's only 3% of the stock, right? So you're right. Who knows what's out there that we are unaware of at this point.
So we need a motion.
Yep.
A move to approve going forward with the RFP.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? Okay.
My only question is, do you folks want to view the RFP and approve it before it goes out, or do you want us to handle it?
I have complete faith in you,
Okay.
and that the administration of the town will review and make sure it's all correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. We have a tax abatement.
And we have one tax abatement.
Yep.
One personal property account, pretty straightforward. The owner of the business.
Yeah, we got to send it to Don.
He reported 30 Adirondack chairs, $661. And we thought they were $661 a piece, which seems reasonable.
Really nice.
Turns out, no, that's what he bought all 30 of them for, so I don't know what kind of chairs they are. But it's he has a receipt, so we're looking at
a motion. A motion to approve the abatement.
All right, a motion to approve the abatement.
Second.
It's $235.50, correct?
That's it. Yep.
For Wyndham Pines, tax year 2022-9.
For personal property.
For personal property, $235.50.
Do I have a second?
Sam seconded it.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? All right.
We don't sign it.
Where did they buy the Adirondack chairs? I want to buy a couple.
The $600 ones, that's the one you want?
No, I want 30 for $600. I'll buy quantity even.
All right.
Go back to C.
Go
Thank
back
you.
to C. Did I miss something?
Yep. Presentation of FY 2021.
What?
The audit.
Appointment of the warrant.
We already got that.
We already did?
Yeah.
No, that's the one that had to be tabled, Joe, because we don't have it. We don't have the
Oh, that's right.
audit.
That's right. We do not have an audit, so
Motion to
table.
table.
C, presentation of FY 21-22 audit.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
That was quick, easy.
Big catch, Teresa.
Appointment of wardens for the election.
So,
So,
That one I struck out of the agenda because I realized that was left over from last year. We don't have a state election this year, so we don't need a
in
warden.
one, okay.
What we will do is elect a moderator at the beginning of the annual town meeting, which is the election.
Or, that's warrant number 1, right? Or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
That's article number 1.
All right. There you go. All right, we're now on public comment.
Good evening. My name is Shar Jewell. I'm a lifelong resident of Raymond. I'm also a member of the RSU 14 School Board. I'm speaking tonight as a Raymond resident and parent of a student to bring attention to some controversy currently affecting RSU 14. Over the last several months, public participation in the school board meetings has increased, but we are not seeing enough voices from Raymond. I am asking all those who are listening to this evening's meeting, what does it mean to be a child? Every child is innocent. Every child has the right to dream. Every child has the right to protection. A child's innocence is the magic in their lives. It is what all of us yearn for after it is lost. Do you remember dreaming when you were a child? What did you dream about? I remember dreaming of becoming a world-renowned equestrian. When I was in high school, I dreamed of becoming a successful accountant so I could afford to be a world-renowned equestrian. I dreamed of meeting the man of my dreams and starting a family. I had a lot of dreams growing up. Looking back on my childhood, I wouldn't trade it to be a child today. Frequently, we hear people talk about how difficult it is growing up today than it was in pre-internet and cable TV. I certainly share this sentiment. The world is a much bigger place than it was 30+ years ago. Back then, all we had to worry about was to be home by dinner time and have good grades in school. There was no access to limitless information as we have today. We all know children are unable to make serious decisions. That is why adults need to be there to protect them. We need to protect them from the things that parents couldn't even imagine 30 years ago. Children today face a huge flood of educational and social information from a very young age. Are they equipped to handle the information they come across? How much damage can information children are not ready for do to their development? What are the long-term effects to individuals and communities where children are exposed to information they were not prepared to handle? We see it every day. Children with anxiety, depression, ADHD, general behavior problems, the numbers are growing. Every year we hear the statistics about our children are becoming less stable in their mental health. This makes me ask the question, what are we doing to cause this? Each of us needs to look at ourselves, those around us, and our institutions to find the root cause to help all children grow into healthy adults who can have a solid place in our communities. The question to us adults is, what are we prepared to do about it? I know what I am prepared to do. With each day that passes, we have become aware of more allegations of inappropriate materials in our school libraries. I think we can all agree that at least some of the materials presented so far are absolutely not acceptable in our schools, considering the librarian at Wyndham High School has already removed one book. I have grave concern for where this is all going and how unprepared the school board and administration is for what is being revealed. Saying, but we didn't know is not a valid excuse. It is our jobs as parents and community members to know what the children in RSU 14 have access to. We do not. We have failed. We have failed our children. Frankly, I am horrified that my daughter has had access to some of these materials and I had no idea. I trusted staff, administration, and the board to protect my child and assist with the social and cultural education she's received growing up. My fault in all this is that I assumed that staff, administration, and the board agreed with my social and cultural viewpoints. Teaching children how to have sex is not the same as sex education to protect them from the dangers of sexual activity. Children are not mature enough to handle the emotional toll sexual activity can take on a person. Sexualization of children is a crime and should not be conducted or supported in schools. If a child cannot access the information on a school computer, they should not be able to access it in the school library. Support, respect, and affirmation of LGBTQIA+ children should not include pornography for children. There are numerous resources and materials that are available to support different communities of children without crossing the line of impropriety. If, for no other reason, the recent CDC Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance results show an increase in sexual violence in teens, especially LGBTQ. Quite a coincidence. School boards across Maine are bound by federal and state laws and regulations. Most of the time, we are bound to these laws, regulations, when conducting business of the RSU. We have a set process along with laws and regulations we must follow. The review of any challenged materials will be thoroughly vetted against RSU, state and federal laws, regulations, and policies. If a member of the public is not happy with the laws and regulations school districts in Maine must operate under, they need to reach out to their state and federal legislatures to lobby for change. I would encourage everyone to be aware of a proposed bill currently being talked about in Augusta. It is Chapter 117, LD 394. It is regarding the power of school counselors and what they can and cannot do with our children. I am speaking today to ask Raymond residents to start investing their time into the future of our community, our children. Without the investment of time in our future, it is lost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none. Selectman comment?
Just a question
Yep.
first. As long as we have Char here, can you just fill people in on the schedule and whatnot, on hearings and whatnot on the school budget?
So speaking as a board member, switching hats, so we are meeting tomorrow night as a board to vote on our proposed budget. It is currently sitting, last I knew, currently sitting at a little over 4% increase. It started out much higher. We did take a look at what surrounding school districts are having for increases. Some are as high as 11%, which is insane as far as I'm concerned, but that's for them to deal with. So the board's voting tomorrow night, and then assuming that the board will pass it, then it will proceed to town vote from there.
Isn't there a public hearing first?
There is. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but yes, there is. I think that will be hammered out tomorrow because the dates are flexible depending on whether, if we don't vote in favor of it tomorrow night, then that pushes everything out. Mm-hmm. So there has not been a firm date set yet.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, actually, no. I want to say thank you to her. She is sitting literally in a battlefield on the other side of that board and watching these meetings. And one of the things that I wanted to say in Selectman comment was thank you for not sitting there with a timer with 3 minutes, because in the middle, I mean, we want people to come out and voice their concerns and talk to us, and we give everybody that public comment, and at least if they have a question, we answer them. I mean, we don't get into a debate back and forth on things, but we answer them. I don't know where and when and how they answer the questions at the school, because everybody has some kind of a comment, but it's not put out there publicly. And you get voted in by the public, and it is nasty right now, nasty down there. And I thank you for sticking it out and what you're doing. And I do agree with what you're saying too. But I thank the select board for giving people, if they're going to come out to this meeting and make the time that we give them the time to talk, because they're not giving it to the people down in Wyndham, or even Raymond for that matter.
Yeah, the way the meetings are set up right now is very, it's kind of a necessary evil because so many people are coming to speak. I mean, we've been up to 3 hours with public comment in the last month, and it's every single meeting. And the passion that all parents and community folks are having is great. Frankly, we need more of it. We need more discussion. because it is such a troubling time for all involved. I will confirm, Teresa, that I share your frustration that we are not able to engage verbally with people that are coming and asking questions. It is something that is pretty frustrating for me as a board member and me as a parent and me as a taxpayer. It would be nice if we could engage more openly, but that is not the way it is set up currently.
Scott McLean, I think it is, came in and did say, he says, I found out sitting up there on the board, you don't have as much say as you do out here in the public.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I watched that whole thing, but
Yep.
yeah, it's, I don't know, I think that this is not gonna end for a while, and I just wanna say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing down there. And
I think we all agree with you too.
And thank you for a 4% increase. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That
Nice
it
going.
just didn't go crazy.
Right. Yeah, and it really is. The administrative team did a fabulous job this year. I can't give them enough credit. They really took a hard look at what do we really need, and cut where they needed to, and increased in a couple of places where we needed to. The mental health problems going on in schools right now is not just RSU 14, it's across the country.
Right.
And we need to get in front of it. And the only way to do that is to increase services.
That extra money they got from the state on, GPA, did they spend that or did they just set it aside? Because that came in pretty much after the budget was done.
So that's part of the reason why we're down so low of an increase. Using that, yes. Yep.
Yay.
Yay. Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it
Some
is.
financial management. Holy mackerel.
Right? Yeah.
You don't usually see that.
And Shar has a very involved job during the day. So hats off to her because she is a rock star.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you, Shar.
Yep.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
All
Mr.
right.
Chair, one date that I do have for the budget process is May 17th. Will be the vote at Wyndham High School on the full budget that has to precede the election.
Okay.
And that's at 6:30 Wyndham High School.
Okay. Hopefully everybody listening in heard that.
Yes.
Town manager's report. I'll quickly do it. Our next meeting is May 9th. Finally, we're going to get a break for a month. The June 20th meeting is, I'm not going to confirm that one right now. We're going to take a look at where we're at, okay? If there's a chance that we don't have to meet on June 20th, there's a good chance we won't. Or I also have a commitment that day, so we might have to move it. Upcoming election, anybody who wants absentee ballots, you have to request them by June 8th. The election is on June 13th. It will be held at Jordan Small Middle School from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That includes the town warrants and the school budget. All right. Have a motion to go into executive session? So moved.
You gotta read the thing, I don't have anything.
Move to go into executive session for discussion of code enforcement with attorneys pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E.
So since they're both,
There are two sessions, yes.
but they're both discussion with attorneys.
Yes, they are. But they're on with two different, as I understand it, there were two different attorneys on two different subjects.
Okay. All right, so we're going in under A right now. All right. Alex. All right, thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Shar.
Thanks, Shar.
Thank you. Therese, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Alex is, I don't know who's first.
Let me get out of here. It's a bit static. I'm sorry.
I think Jim Katsafikis would be first.
Did you make a motion?
Whoever's not going to charge us while
Yes.
we wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
So,
Yes.
Zach, I'm going to put you back in the waiting room.
Sorry, Zach.
Yes, please. Thank you. It's okay, Jim. Have fun.
I'll make it brief, as much as I can. Thank you.
We're still.
Yeah, all those in favor of executive session? Unanimous?
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Move to, excuse me, move to allow the chair of the select board to sign a consent agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? All set, Alex?
Yep.
All right. Need a motion to go into
Move to
executive
Move
session?
to go into executive session, discuss with code enforcement with attorney pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056E.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? All right, we're in executive session.
Move to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? We're having executive session.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you very much.